G'day Flow friends, we're here to review the brand new Santa Cruz Hightower. We're now looking at version 4 of this ever popular bike in the Santa Cruz lineup, and we're in a pretty special place to review this one. We're riding in Piemonte in Italy, and we've been checking out some pretty unreal trails up in the mountains behind me. So let's get stuck into it and find out what's new. The Santa Cruz Hightower is the brand's all-mountain, do-it-all 29er. It has been around for quite a while now and is one of their best-selling bikes. So let's take a look at what's new with version 4 of this bike. It has 150 mils of rear travel and a 160 mil fork. That has increased over the years. Early days of the Hightower, it started off with a 140 mil rear end, 145, and now 150. So they have increased it to make it a little more burly over the years. But it is still a true all-rounder in the sense that it can cover a little bit of every discipline. As we have seen with the Bronson that has just been recently released, the Hightower has received the same treatment. With the new Hightower, we are seeing it get a little bit longer and slacker, and we are also seeing the shock and the linkage moving lower down and forward. This reduces the anti-squat characteristics, reducing pedal kickback and also providing more traction. One thing that was a little bit fiddly in the past was installing a cable dropper post. That has been improved to make it a little bit easier. They still have the tube-in-tube routing, so that makes running lines nice and simple. However, on the CC models, we are now only seeing routing for a dropper post and a brake. There is no routing for a cable rear derailleur in the CC models. However, their C model frames will have cable routing for a traditional drivetrain system. With the way in which bike technology is progressing, we can only assume that Santa Cruz is planning for the not too distant future as more companies start to bring out wireless drivetrains. Okay, let's get stuck into how the new Santa Cruz Hightower descends. There have been quite a few tweaks made to improve the descending performance on the latest version. The lengthening of the rear end and slackening of the head angle have made the bike more stable and planted. This was evident during testing as we rode many high-speed sections, and we're quite pleased with how stable the bike felt. We were lucky enough to have Santa Cruz suspension expert Kieran McKinnon on hand during testing, and after a few discussions with him, he recommended we remove the 0.1 volume spacer in the Fox Float X, particularly for general trail riding when we weren't hitting big jumps, drops, or experiencing any harsh compressions. We did so and the bike instantly felt more supple, and we didn't have any issues with blowing through travel. The bike is quite progressive, particularly in the low flip chip setting. So like us, you may find that you don't need the volume spacer. It's easy to experiment with, so we'd recommend giving it a try if you do end up purchasing this bike. Whilst it is more stable, it still has the light and sprightly feel you want from a trail bike, particularly when traversing the hill. It encourages you to pop off things and find little doubles along the way. The head angle sits either side of 64 degrees, depending on whether you're in the high or low flip chip setting. This seems to be the sweet spot for a lot of modern trail bikes, providing a good balance of stability as well as responsiveness in the steering. The Hightower loves sections of trail with a long line of sight, where you can open it up and let the bike go. The Hightower is amazing at carrying speed and momentum, and we'd say this is a true highlight of how the bike rides. It feels like you can almost just hold on and let the bike dance through the turns naturally. However, when speeds get slower and the trail gets tighter, the increase in wheelbase on this latest version is noticeable, along with the 29er wheels front and rear, and the slightly slacker head angle are all things that at times can make the bike a little harder to move around. It took us a while to get used to the extra manhandling required. You need to be aggressive with the bike in these circumstances to really get it to work. For a trail bike, it performed surprisingly well in steep terrain. The high front end helped with this, giving a sense that the bike was never getting too far away from you or wasn't sitting too low. It also allowed us to put a lot of weight into our feet, taking the pressure off our hands. It also gives a sensation that you're sitting in the bike, which again complements the planted feel. So we know the new Hightower has had some changes made to improve its descending performance, but has it lost any of its climbing ability? Let's take a look and talk about some of the climbing characteristics of this bike, which are very important as it is an all-mountain, do-it-all machine. With a heavy emphasis on descending improvements, we were initially worried that the Hightower may have lost some of its efficiency and climbing ability. But we're pleased to report that the new Hightower still climbs amazingly well. The geo is great for sitting and spinning. The seat angle is nice and steep and the front end sits high and makes for a comfortable ride. However, the bike really shines when you get out of the saddle. We found the Hightower to climb well when you're throwing down some extra power to get through techie climbs. There is plenty of power delivery, but also a solid amount of traction. We rode the rear shock completely open most of the time, and we had no issues with inefficient pedal bob. It provided a good platform to push into, but it also had enough suppleness that there was traction. When the climb is a little flatter and the trail starts traversing, the bike was able to carry a lot of speed. This is always nice, as any extra momentum on the way up is always welcomed by us. Now we've got a better understanding of how Santa Cruz have designed this new bike. Let's talk about who it might be for and what conditions it's best suited to. We see this suiting someone that is looking for a bike that descends equally as well as it climbs. This is certainly a trail bike that maintains some great climbing attributes. If you often ride slightly flatter and faster trails, which is quite common in Australia, this bike will suit those conditions well. It has a great ability to maintain speed while still having quite a stable nature in the way it goes about it. However, if you're looking for a super snappy trail bike, maybe one that flicks around corners with ease, this may not be the best option. We feel the new Hightower, with its planted characteristics, has moved closer to a mini enduro bike and has separated itself quite a bit further away from the shorter travel tall boy in the Santa Cruz lineup. Santa Cruz have been well known for their customer support. Nothing has changed with the latest Hightower. If you didn't know, they offer lifetime warranty on their frames and bearings, which is pretty cool. Another thing to note is that they are extremely easy to work on, which is a big factor for all the home mechanics out there. We hope this review has been helpful and you've learned a little bit about the new Santa Cruz Hightower. Be sure to check out our full written review. In there is a ton more information about the bike, as well as the build options that are coming into Australia and their prices. If you're considering buying this bike, let us know. We'd love to hear from you. And until next time, we'll see you later.